Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a truth that will shake your mindset and stir your spirit. You don't need 30 skills. You don't need 100 strategies. You need three, and only three skills to become a millionaire. We live in a world that celebrates complexity, but kingdom wealth flows through simplicity aligned with divine order. Today, I'm about to break down the only three skills you need to shift from surviving to thriving, from striving to soaring. Let me ask you a question. What if being broke was never God's plan for your life? What if struggle, debt, and survival mode were not a season to endure, but a lie to reject? There comes a point in your life when you have to stop normalizing lack and start aligning with the promise, because there is a difference between what you tolerate and what you're called to. And too many believers are tolerating poverty like it's a badge of honor instead of stepping into the blessing that was bought, paid for, and prepared in advance. You were never created to live in financial bondage. You were created to reflect heaven's abundance on earth. But to move from broke to blessed, you don't just need hustle. You need a blueprint, a divine strategy that aligns your faith with function, your belief with behavior, and your purpose with profit. It's not enough to pray for a breakthrough. You have to prepare for one, because God will not bless what you will not build. The blueprint starts with identity. If you still see yourself as unworthy of wealth, you will sabotage every opportunity God sends. Broke is not just a bank account condition. It's a belief system, and belief drives behavior. That's why the first shift is internal. You must renew your mind and see yourself as a builder, a creator, a steward of kingdom resources. You are not just someone who gets by. You are someone called to overflow. When God blesses someone, He doesn't give them just enough for themselves. He gives them more than enough to bless others. That's the whole purpose of abundance, not consumption, but contribution. Then comes the power of vision. Wealth follows clarity. Too many people are praying for provision without a vision. But God funds what you're willing to build. You don't get harvest where there is no seed. And you don't get investment from heaven without intention on earth. So the real question is not whether God wants to bless you. It's whether you've created a container big enough to hold the blessing, your business, your idea, your service, your gift. These are the containers. The bigger the vision, the bigger the vessel. The bigger the vessel, the bigger the volume God can pour into. From there, you have to understand value. Wealth is attracted to value. It flows to those who solve real problems and meet real needs. If you want money, stop chasing it and start creating value. The problem most broke people have is they think money comes from effort. But effort is only rewarded when it is directed toward value creation. Wealthy people think in terms of service and solutions. They ask, whose life can I make better? And what pain can I solve with excellence? That's when money starts chasing you, because you become a magnet for value exchange. Now let's talk about multiplication. Once you've stepped into alignment with your identity, once you've clarified your vision and created value, you must learn how to multiply it. One stream of income is not abundance, it's exposure. Wealth requires systems, it requires structure, it requires the wisdom to scale what God has given you. That could look like turning your knowledge into a product, turning your service into a program, or turning your idea into an enterprise. Whatever it is, the goal is not just to make money, it's to multiply your impact. God didn't just say be fruitful, He said multiply. And that principle applies to wealth just as much as it applies to faith and family. But don't forget, none of this works without obedience. Obedience is the true currency of the kingdom. Sometimes God will test your faith before He releases your fortune. He'll give you an instruction that looks illogical, like giving when you're in lack or forgiving someone who cost you. But obedience is what activates overflow. When you follow the blueprint, even when it's inconvenient, you position yourself for supernatural provision. That's how God operates. He's not just looking for desire, He's looking for discipline. He blesses those who are willing to build according to His pattern. This is the real path from broke to blessed. Not just hustle, not just hard work, but harmony with heaven's design for wealth. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about getting rich with purpose, because wealth without wisdom is waste. But wealth with wisdom becomes a weapon against poverty, a tool for transformation, a vessel for kingdom expansion. You were not born empty. You were born gifted. God placed something unique inside you before you ever took your first breath. A divine deposit, a seed of genius, a gift with the potential to change your life and impact others. But here's the challenge: most people are waiting on a blessing while sitting on a gift they refuse to use. We keep asking God for increase, but we haven't activated what He already gave us. The truth is, what you're praying for is already hidden in what you're carrying. The question isn't, do you have a gift? The real question is, will you steward it? Your gift is not random. It is divine. It is wired into your DNA, tailor-made for your calling. And it's not just for singing, speaking, or creating. Your gift may be leadership, strategy, healing, encouragement, design, organization, or problem solving. But make no mistake, it's powerful, it's profitable. And it's not for you to hide in fear, bury in insecurity, or waste in the name of humility. You were never called to dim what God designed to shine. And you will never walk in overflow until you learn to own your gift, use your gift, and value your gift. The world doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you do with what you know. That's why the second part of the blueprint is this: monetize it. Yes, monetize your gift. Turn your skill into service and your service into income. This is not greed. This is stewardship. If God gave it, it's meant to produce. Think about it. If someone gave you a field full of seeds and you refuse to plant them, would that be noble? No, it would be wasteful. The same goes for your gift. When you fail to monetize what God placed in your hand, you're not being humble. You're withholding fruit that someone else's freedom depends on. It's time to break the lie that money is evil. Money is neutral. It takes on the nature of the hands it's in. In the hands of the wicked, it builds empires of darkness. In the hands of the righteous, it advances kingdom purposes. When you monetize your gift, you are not just earning income, you are creating impact with structure. You are giving your gift a form that can flow into the marketplace. The coach, the consultant, the author, the artist, the teacher, the builder, all of them are taking something internal and making it external. That's what monetization is, turning your unseen value into visible solutions. But it doesn't stop at monetization. The final step is this: multiply it, because one stream is not enough. Your gift is meant to grow. If your gift can be taught, teach it. If your process works, package it. If your solution helps people, license it, replicate it, expand it. Don't just sell it once. Create a system where it sells itself. That's multiplication. That's the law of stewardship. God never gave a gift for it to stay the same. The one who hid the talent was rebuked, but the one who multiplied it was rewarded. Why? Because heaven honors increase through action. You don't need to chase opportunity. You need to develop your gift. When your gift becomes excellent, it creates its own demand. That's the power of refinement. When you stop second-guessing your value and start serving with boldness, everything shifts. People pay for solutions, not potential. And the more you sharpen your gift, the more you become the solution others are searching for. That's when your voice gets louder, your reach gets wider, your impact gets deeper, and your income becomes a reflection of your influence. So understand this: God already gave you everything you need to begin. It's not in the economy. It's not in your background. It's in your hands, in your mouth, in your mind, in your gift. The gift makes room, but only if you move it, only if you use it, only if you stop waiting for validation and start walking in revelation. Because the gift you're carrying is the key to your next level. You just have to use it, monetize it, and multiply it without shame, without fear, and without apology. You didn't stumble into this season. You were sent. You weren't born to just pay bills and die. You were born to build, to lead, and yes, to multiply wealth. This isn't just personal ambition. It's a divine assignment. There is a mandate on your life to prosper, not so you can boast in riches, but so you can fund kingdom purpose, break generational lack, and establish a legacy that outlives your name. Becoming a millionaire is not a luxury for the few. It is a responsibility for those who are willing to be stewards of heaven's resources on earth. God never creates without purpose, and He never calls without equipping. So when you feel that pull in your spirit, that desire for more, for greater, for impact, it's not pride, it's prophecy. Because you can't fulfill a big vision with small provision. You can't feed nations with empty pockets. You can't fund missions, schools, businesses, or movements while living paycheck to paycheck. At some point, you have to stop shrinking the vision and start expanding the vessel. You have to stop asking for just enough and start preparing for more than enough. Because heaven responds to faith, not fear. Being a millionaire is not about stacking zeros in a bank account. It's about building capacity. It's about being the kind of person who can handle abundance with integrity, with strategy, and with clarity. God gives seed to the sower, not the hoarder. Not the talker, not the dreamer, but the sower. That means if you're not receiving, it may be because you're not positioned to release. Wealth comes with assignment attached. And when you understand that your money has a mission, everything changes. Your work becomes ministry. Your product becomes purpose. Your income becomes influence. There's a misconception in religious circles that wealth is worldly. But let me remind you, the first covenant God made with Abraham was that he would be blessed to be a blessing. That was generational. That was financial. That was leadership through abundance. Poverty is not holy. It's harmful. It paralyzes purpose. It keeps people stuck in cycles. And it distracts from destiny. But wealth, when aligned with heaven, becomes a tool of transformation. It breaks chains. It funds visions. It sets captives free. And that's why the enemy fights your finances, because your breakthrough isn't just about you. You're not chasing money. You're obeying a mandate. The calling to become a millionaire isn't selfish. It's strategic. It means you've been chosen to steward resources at a high level. It means God trusts you to carry influence in a way that honors him. But that trust comes with a cost. You must be disciplined. You must be excellent. You must be wise. Because God won't give overflow to someone who can't manage overflow. He won't promote you to millionaire status if lack is still your mindset. So you've got to upgrade your thoughts before you upgrade your lifestyle. The path to becoming a millionaire by mandate is not just about working harder. It's about working with revelation. It's about learning to operate by kingdom principles in a marketplace environment. That means understanding the laws of sowing and reaping, of honor and harvest, of stewardship and multiplication. It means embracing sales without shame, scaling without compromise, and serving without burnout. It means learning how to build businesses, offers, assets, and systems that generate income while expanding impact. You don't have to choose between mission and money. You are called to master both. The anointing on your life is not just for church. It's for culture, for commerce, for communities that are crying out for change. And you can't change what you can't reach. That's why your business is holy. Your brand is ministry. Your influence is sacred. The kingdom needs more entrepreneurs who know how to make millions and mobilize movements. People who don't just quote scriptures, but write checks. People who don't just pray for change, but fund it. So when you feel the burden to build, don't run from it. Run with it. When the vision feels bigger than your bank account, remember, the provision is always waiting on the obedience. You were not called to be average. You were not called to scrape by. You were called to multiply, to govern, to advance. You are not a millionaire by accident. You are a millionaire by mandate. And when you fully step into that assignment, you don't just prosper, you position others to prosper through you. If you want to unlock financial freedom and walk in divine abundance, you don't need to chase trends. You need to follow a timeless pattern. Speak, serve, sell. This is not just a business strategy. It's a kingdom formula. It's how purpose becomes profit. It's how calling turns into cash flow. And it's how people of faith break free from financial struggle and step into supernatural supply, not by striving, but by aligning their voice, their value, and their vehicle. God gave you a message, a gift, and a market. When those three come together, income becomes inevitable. But here's the problem. Too many people are hiding their voice, downplaying their gift, or refusing to sell because they think money is dirty. That's not humility. It's disobedience in disguise. You can't expect to live in overflow if you're unwilling to open your mouth, offer your help, or make an ask. Heaven responds to movement. And this funnel, speak, serve, sell, is how faith flows into finance. Let's start with speak. Your voice is your most powerful asset, not because it makes noise, but because it carries value. It carries testimony, instruction, transformation. The problem is most people speak to be heard, but the wealthy speak to bring change. You've got to move from information to inspiration, from talking to teaching. Your voice must solve problems, build belief, and break confusion, because before people ever buy from you, they must first believe in you. And that belief is built through how you speak, with clarity, conviction, and consistency. Speaking is how you attract the right people. It's how you declare what you carry. It's how you tell the marketplace, I'm here to help. If you don't speak, you can't be seen. And if you're not seen, you can't be supported. So whether it's one-on-one, from a stage, on video, or in writing, your voice is the gateway to visibility. And visibility is the first step to profitability. You don't need to go viral. You just need to be valuable to the right people. And that starts when you speak with purpose. Next is serve. Once they hear you, they need to feel you. They need to experience your gift in action. Serving is not giving away everything for free. It's demonstrating what you do in a way that builds trust and positions you as the solution. Service is the bridge between awareness and conversion. When you serve well, people don't just listen, they lean in. They see that you don't just speak well, you solve well. And that credibility creates demand. In the kingdom, we don't chase clients, we serve people. And in return, people invest in what they trust. That's the essence of service-based marketing. It's not about manipulation, it's about manifestation, showing what's possible through your solution. Whether you're coaching, teaching, healing, designing, building, or guiding, your service is your proof. And proof always opens the door to the next level. Finally, sell. This is where many believers get stuck. They think selling is carnal, greedy, or selfish. But nothing could be further from the truth. Selling is not about taking money. It's about facilitating transformation. When you sell, you invite someone into a deeper level of change. You say, what I carry is so valuable, I've created a structured way to deliver it. And this is the price of the solution. If your gift is powerful enough to shift someone's life, then it is worthy of an investment. The Bible says, a laborer is worthy of his wages. That means if you're working, serving, helping, and doing it with excellence, then you are worthy to be paid. Selling is kingdom. Selling is service. Selling is how you sustain your mission. Because if the vision is going to be funded, the builder must be bold. And if the builder is broke, the vision never gets off the ground. Selling is how you take what's in your heart and turn it into a harvest. This faith-based funnel, speak, serve, sell, is how you create freedom without compromise. It's how you build wealth without losing your worship. It's how you expand your territory without selling your soul. It keeps your integrity, honors your calling, and multiplies your income, not by chance, but by choice. Every time you speak with boldness, serve with excellence, and sell with conviction, you're not just making money, you're making impact. You're doing business God's way. And that's what unlocks real, lasting freedom. Your words are not just sounds, they're seeds. Every sentence you speak is either attracting wealth or repelling it. Every conversation is either moving you closer to purpose or pulling you back into poverty. The truth is, before anyone buys your product, they buy your words. Before people invest in your brand, they invest in your belief. And that belief is built by how you speak. You don't need to be the loudest, smartest, or most experienced person in the room. But if you master your voice, you can master value. And where there's value, there's wealth. Words shape worlds. God himself created the universe through speech, and he created you in his image. That means you've been given that same creative authority in your voice. But most people waste their words. They use their voice to vent instead of build, to complain instead of command, to describe their lack instead of declare their increase. They talk about what they don't have instead of speaking life over what they're building. You cannot manifest abundance while maintaining a vocabulary of defeat. You have to upgrade your language before you upgrade your lifestyle. The voice that sells is not a manipulative voice. It's not hype. It's not fake confidence. It's a voice that solves problems, builds connection, and communicates conviction. It is a voice that says, I know what I carry, and I believe it can change your life. That level of belief is magnetic. People don't just buy your offer, they buy your certainty. And when your words carry certainty, clarity, and compassion, they convert. Whether you're selling a product, a service, or an idea, your words must answer one question in the listener's mind: can this person help me? And the way you answer that is through value-packed speech. That doesn't mean flooding people with information. It means painting a vision. It means using your voice to shift their thinking, to unlock possibility, to show them a version of their life that's better, freer, more aligned. That's the power of persuasive communication, not pressure, but transformation. The marketplace rewards clarity. If your words are confused, your income will be too. You must learn how to speak directly to the pain your audience feels and the promise they desire. That means knowing your people, knowing their problem, and knowing how to communicate the path you're offering them. It means speaking with structure, not just random motivation, but targeted communication that leads to action. You're not just giving information, you're guiding a decision. And people will pay the person who helps them decide with confidence. The voice that sells also requires alignment. If your inner beliefs don't match your outer language, people will feel it. You can't say, I help people win, while secretly doubting your worth. You can't say, this offer will change your life, while charging like it's disposable. Your words will always reflect your mindset. That's why wealth starts on the inside, because people can hear the hesitation in your tone before they ever see it in your price. And no one buys from uncertainty. You must be fully aligned with what you offer and the transformation it delivers. When you are, your voice becomes a vessel of conviction. And let's be clear, you don't need a stage to speak with power. You need purpose. You need to show up on your social media, your Zoom call, your sales page, your webinar, your DMs with the same energy as if the whole world is watching. Because even if only 5 people hear you today, if you speak with excellence, those 5 can become 50. Those 50 can become 500. That's how movements grow, one voice at a time, spoken with faith and fire. This is the era of communication. In today's economy, people don't just buy products, they buy stories, they buy solutions, they buy certainty. And the one who can articulate the clearest solution to the biggest problem is the one who will win. So don't underestimate your voice. Don't silence it. Don't soften it. Train it. Refine it. Use it boldly. Because when your voice carries value, people will pay to hear it, learn from it, and follow it. Your voice is not just a tool. It's an asset. It's a revenue stream waiting to be activated. And when you learn how to speak with strategy and spirit, your words won't just inspire. They'll convert, they'll create, and they'll compound. That's how wealth is built. Not just by what's in your hands, but by what's in your mouth. It doesn't matter how much you believe if you refuse to move. Faith without works is dead, and so is your income if it's based only on vision, prayer, or good ideas. Heaven responds to movement, not just meditation. The reason many people are stuck financially is not because they lack faith. It's because they lack execution. You can't just sit in a room, declare overflow, speak increase, and expect the bank to respond. Money doesn't answer to emotion. It doesn't answer to desperation. It answers to motion. And until you move, nothing moves. God honors faith, but true faith always carries feet. It walks. It builds. It takes risks. It shows up in the marketplace, in the meeting, in the moment. Faith that is silent, still, and impassive is not biblical faith. Real faith moves. It gets uncomfortable. It takes the first step before seeing the staircase. It launches the product, sends the email, makes the call, records the message, sows the seed, and writes the offer. Not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because obedience is. Too many people confuse intentions with instructions. They think because they meant to build the business or intended to launch the brand that the results should follow. But God does not reward intention. He rewards action in alignment with His word. The children of Israel didn't see the Red Sea part until Moses moved. The man with the withered hand didn't get healed until he stretched. Peter didn't walk on water until he stepped out of the boat. Movement is always the trigger for miracles, and it's the same in business. Money is a magnifier, and it flows toward clarity. Courage and consistency. If you are not clear about what you offer, who it's for, and how it transforms lives, you won't attract resources. If you lack the courage to charge, promote, and position yourself as the answer, money will avoid you. If you are inconsistent, showing up one week, disappearing the next, you will never build trust, and money will remain inconsistent in your life. This is not punishment, it's a principle, because money doesn't respond to pity. It responds to patterns. God has already blessed you. He has already placed inside of you the ideas, gifts, insights, and solutions the world needs. But those solutions must become visible, valuable, and vocal. The idea in your notebook won't bless anyone. The message in your heart won't serve anyone. The gift in your hands won't prosper anyone until you put it to work. Movement is how you convert revelation into revenue. It's how you turn purpose into profit. It's how you go from potential to power. Even when you're unsure, movement creates momentum. You don't need to have every step figured out. You just need to obey the next one. Start before you're ready. Speak before you're comfortable. Sell before you feel perfect. The enemy wants you paralyzed by planning. God wants you propelled by purpose. When you move, you create space for the supernatural to show up. You invite increase. You position yourself for overflow, not because you earned it, but because you activated it. You don't get paid for what you know. You get paid for what you do with what you know. You don't build wealth by sitting on wisdom. You build it by stewarding wisdom. So don't wait for a perfect plan. Don't wait for applause. Don't wait for someone to hand you permission. You've already been called. You've already been equipped. But heaven is waiting to see if you will move. Because money is not attracted to waiting. It's attracted to working. This is not about hustle. It's about holy alignment. It's about executing with grace, building with integrity, and multiplying with strategy. When you move in obedience, even the smallest step can open the biggest doors. Faith doesn't just believe for overflow. It builds for it. It shows up, stands up, and speaks up until breakthrough becomes reality. So the next level isn't waiting on another confirmation. It's waiting on your movement. That course, that call, that coaching, that brand, that blueprint, whatever God placed on your heart, build it. Don't just think about it. Don't just pray about it. Move. Because wealth is not just the reward of faith. It's the result of faith in action. So here's the truth. You don't need another prophecy, another confirmation, or another conference. What you need is to move, because the provision you're praying for is on the other side of the step you're afraid to take. God has already assigned resources to your obedience. He's already lined up people, platforms, and profit, but they won't show up while you're sitting still. Faith is not proven by what you say, it's proven by what you do. You can shout abundance all day long, but until your feet match your faith, the flow remains locked. If you want God to bless the work of your hands, then your hands have to be working. If you want doors to open, then knock. If you want harvest, then plant. Because in the kingdom, motion is the magnet for miracles. Don't let fear dress itself up as wisdom. Don't confuse waiting with preparation. The time for movement is now. Start where you are. Use what you have. Trust what He gave you. Because when faith meets action, money has no choice but to respond.